I never meant to snoop through my husband's desk drawer. But when I accidentally knocked over his coffee mug while dusting, sending papers scattering across the floor, one particular envelope caught my eye. It was addressed to my dearest Ryan in an elegant cursive I instantly recognized as my mother-in-law's handwriting. My name is Elle, and until that moment, I thought I was living a pretty normal life. Sure, there were the usual struggles of being a stay-at-home mom to a toddler while my husband worked long hours at his tech job. And yes, my mother-in-law Vivian could be a bit intense. But I never imagined I'd be standing in our home office, hands shaking as I read words that would shatter everything. The house next door to mine is perfect for you three, the letter read. I've already spoken to the realtor. Once you secure the transfer to the Seattle office, we can finally have Noah close to his grandmother where he belongs. Elle will understand eventually. It's what's best for everyone. The paper crinkled in my grip. My throat went dry as I read the date. 3 weeks ago. Ryan hadn't mentioned anything about a transfer, let alone moving across the country to his mother's neighborhood. Our 2-year-old son Noah was napping upstairs, blissfully unaware that his father and grandmother were plotting to uproot our entire life. I heard Ryan's key in the front door and quickly stuffed the letter back in its envelope. My heart was pounding as his footsteps approached. "Hey, you're home early," I said, trying to keep my voice steady as I pretended to organize his desk. "Yeah, slow day." He kissed my cheek, then frowned at the scattered papers. "What happened here?" "Oh, just knocked over your coffee mug while cleaning. Sorry about the mess." Ryan started gathering papers, his movements becoming slightly rigid when he spotted the envelope. "You didn't read anything, did you?" The casual way he asked made my stomach turn. "Should there be something I shouldn't read?" He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair, a nervous habit I'd noticed more frequently lately. "Mom's just been floating some ideas. Nothing concrete. Ideas like moving us to Seattle without discussing it with me first?" His silence was deafening. Finally, he said, "It would be a great opportunity. Better schools, bigger house, family nearby." "Your family," I cut in. "What about my parents? What about my life here?" "I'll be reasonable. Mom's just trying to help." "When were you planning to tell me? Or was I just supposed to wake up one day to packed boxes and a moving truck?" Noah's cry from upstairs interrupted whatever response Ryan was forming. As I turned to check on our son, Ryan grabbed my arm. Not roughly, but firmly enough to make me pause. "We should talk about this later," he said quietly. "When we're both calmer." I pulled away, fighting back tears. "You know what's funny? For a second there, I actually hoped you'd deny it. Tell me I was crazy for thinking you'd make such a huge decision behind my back." Noah's cries grew louder. As I headed upstairs, Ryan called after me, "Mom's coming for dinner tomorrow. Maybe we can all discuss this together." Agifishik minuso. Of course Vivian was coming over. She always seemed to materialize whenever there was tension between Ryan and me, swooping in to help in ways that inevitably made things worse. "Perfect," I said, not turning around. "We can all sit down and you can both explain why you think I don't deserve a say in my own family's future." As I walked away, I could feel everything shifting, my marriage, my trust, my whole world. But underneath the hurt and betrayal, something else was stirring, a quiet voice that whispered, "Not this time." They weren't going to steamroll over my life without a fight. I just had to figure out what that fight looked like. The next morning, I went through the motions of making breakfast while Noah babbled happily in his high chair. Ryan had already left for work, earlier than usual, which wasn't surprising given how tense things were after last night's confrontation. As I spread peanut butter on Noah's toast, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother-in-law. "Looking forward to dinner tonight. Bringing that lasagna Ryan loves. We have so much to discuss." I gripped the counter, fighting down a wave of nausea. The way Vivian wielded food like a weapon, cooking Ryan's favorites, criticizing my attempts at family recipes, was just one of her subtle tactics. But now, knowing about their secret plans, every little thing felt like part of a larger strategy. "Mama sad?" Noah asked, his little face scrunched with concern. "No, baby. Mama's just thinking." I forced a smile and kissed his syrup-sticky cheek. "Want to visit Grandma Martha today?" My mother had always been my safe harbor, but I hadn't told her about the letter yet. Part of me was embarrassed. She'd warned me about Vivian's controlling nature years ago, back when Ryan and I first got engaged. At my parents' house, Mom took one look at my face and sent Noah to play with his toys in the living room. "Spill it," she said, pulling out a chair at her kitchen table. "What's wrong?" I told her everything. The letter, Ryan's reaction, the upcoming dinner. With each word, the reality of my situation became clearer. "That woman," Mom muttered, shaking her head. "And Ryan's just going along with this?" "He says it's just an idea, but Mom, you should have seen his face when he realized I'd found the letter. He wasn't surprised or apologetic. He was annoyed at being caught." "Have you checked your joint accounts lately?" The question caught me off guard. "What do you mean?" "Oh, honey, if they're planning this behind your back, you need to protect yourself." And Noah. I hadn't even thought about the financial implications. Ryan handled most of our money matters, another thing that had happened, so gradually I barely noticed it. My phone buzzed again. "Ryan, Mom's asking what wine you prefer for tonight. Please try to be nice, she's really excited about this opportunity." "Opportunity?" I scoffed, showing Mom the text. Like being pushed out of my own life decisions is some kind of gift. You know what your father would say? Don't get mad, get smart. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You need to think 3 steps ahead with Vivian. She's been playing this game a lot longer than you have." When we got home, I put Noah down for his nap and did something I'd never done before. I logged into our online banking. Everything looked normal at first, until I noticed a recurring transfer to an account I didn't recognize. $5,000 every month for the past 3 months, going to something labeled Family Trust. My hands were shaking as I took screenshots. The amount wasn't enough to drain our savings, but it was enough to show that Ryan had been preparing for something. Something he hadn't bothered to discuss with me. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Through the window, I saw Vivian's Mercedes in the driveway, an hour early, of course. She stood on the porch clutching her lasagna dish, perfectly coiffed and smiling like she hadn't been orchestrating the dismantling of my life. For a moment, I considered not answering. But then I remembered what Mom said about thinking ahead. If Vivian wanted to play games, fine. But this time, I wouldn't be the only one with surprises. I smoothed my hair, pasted on my best daughter-in-law smile, and opened the door. "Vivian, you're early." "Perfect timing. Actually, there's something I've been dying to discuss with you." The slight falter in her smile told me she hadn't expected this version of me. Good. Let her wonder what else she hadn't seen coming. The family dinner started exactly as I expected, with Vivian dominating the conversation while Ryan nodded along like an eager puppy. Noah sat between us, pushing his lasagna around his plate, blissfully unaware of the tension crackling through the air. "The schools in Seattle are exceptional," Vivian was saying, dabbing her mouth with a napkin. "And the house next door to mine has the most darling playroom. Perfect for Noah's development." I took a slow sip of wine. "Speaking of development, Ryan, how's that family trust working out?" The fork froze halfway to his mouth. Vivian's smile flickered for just a moment before brightening artificially. "Oh, has Ryan told you about that?" "It's just a little safety net I suggested." $15,000 is quite a safety net, I interrupted, keeping my voice steady. "Especially when it's being moved without your wife's knowledge." Ryan set down his fork. "Oh, this isn't the time." "When is the time, Ryan? After you've drained our accounts? After we're packed up and moved across the country?" "Now, dear." Vivian reached across the table as if to pat my hand. I pulled back before she could touch me. "You're getting yourself worked up over nothing. This is all for Noah's future." "Noah's future?" I laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. "You mean your future. Your chance to control everything, just like you always have." "Oh," Ryan started, but I wasn't finished. "Tell me, Vivian, does this house next door happen to have a spare key? So you can drop in whenever you want. Check up on us? Make sure we're raising your grandson properly." Vivian's face hardened. "I think you're being rather ungrateful. Everything I do is for this family. Your version of family, where I'm just an inconvenient obstacle between you and my son." Noah started whimpering, picking up on the tension. I reached to comfort him, but Vivian got there first, scooping him up. "Come to Grandma, sweetheart. Mommy's just having one of her moments." Something snapped inside me. I stood up so quickly my chair toppled backward. "Give me my son." "Oh, calm down," Ryan said, finally finding his voice. Mom's just trying to help. Give me my son. Vivian held Noah tighter, making shushing sounds as he started to cry. See what you're doing? You're scaring him. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshots of the bank transfers. You want to talk about scary? Let's talk about how you've been stealing from our family's future. Both of you. Ryan's face went pale. That money is just a backup plan. For emergencies. The only emergency is that I married someone who lets his mother puppet master his entire life. I turned to Vivian, who was still clutching my crying son. Put Noah down. Now. Maybe it was something in my voice, or maybe she realized she'd pushed too far, but Vivian finally set Noah down. He ran to me immediately, burying his tear-stained face in my legs. I said, picking up my son, it's time for you to leave. This is my house too, Ryan protested weakly. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like it belongs to Vivian. Just like everything else in your life. Vivian gathered her purse, her movements precise and controlled. Ryan, darling, we should go. Elle clearly needs time to process all this wonderful news about Seattle. I watched them leave together. My husband and his mother, a matched set of betrayal. As their car pulled away, I held Noah closer, breathing in his sweet baby shampoo smell. Mama mad? He asked in a small voice. No, baby. I kissed his forehead, already formulating plans. Mama's just done pretending. I pulled out my phone again, this time to call my mother. I needed to know if her spare room was still available. And I needed a good lawyer, one who wouldn't be intimidated by Vivian Dawson's perfectly coordinated threats and Ryan's weak excuses. They wanted to play family? Fine. But this time we'd play by my rules. Ryan didn't come home that night. Or the next. His texts were brief, staying at mom's and need time to think. Each notification made my stomach clench. But not for the reasons it would have a week ago. Now, I was watching our joint account like a hawk, screenshots documenting every movement. I was folding laundry when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw my father-in-law, Richard, Vivian's ex-husband who'd moved to Arizona years ago. My hand hesitated on the doorknob. In 7 years of marriage, I'd only met him twice. Elle, he said when I opened the door, looking uncomfortable in his pressed khakis. Sorry to show up unannounced. I heard about, well, everything. I let him in, watching as he took in the family photos on the wall. Noah was napping upstairs, and the house felt too quiet, too empty. Vivian called you? I asked, leading him to the kitchen. Actually, my lawyer did. He accepted the coffee I offered, his hands slightly shaking. She's trying to set up a trust fund for Noah. Using my money. The mug I was holding nearly slipped from my grip. What? She's always been. He paused, searching for words. Creative with other people's resources. When we divorced, she convinced Ryan I'd abandoned them. Turned him against me. I thought you should know, she's done this before. My throat tightened. The family trust. That's where Ryan's been sending our money. Richard nodded grimly. She's gathering ammunition, Elle. Setting things up to paint you as unstable if you try to leave. She did the same thing with me. But Ryan wouldn't. I stopped myself. A week ago, I wouldn't have thought Ryan capable of hiding money or planning a cross-country move behind my back either. He's a good kid, Richard said softly. But Vivian, she knows exactly how to pull his strings. Always has. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan, coming by to get some clothes. Mom says we should give each other space while we figure things out. I showed Richard the message. He's fesidarkened. Figure things out? Oh, do you have somewhere you can go? My parents. Good. Go there. Today. Vivian's not going to stop until she has total control, and right now, you're the only thing standing in her way. After Richard left, I went upstairs and looked at Noah, peaceful in his afternoon nap. On his dresser sat the photo album Vivian had made, documenting every milestone. I'd always seen it as thoughtful, if a bit excessive. Now I wondered if it was evidence, proof she'd been building her case all along. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Daddy cleaned out the spare room. It's ready whenever you need it. I was packing a bag when I heard Ryan's key in the door. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing what was clearly one of his old high school t-shirts from his mother's house. Elle, we need to talk. Your father stopped by today. I cut him off, watching his face carefully. He paled. Dad? What did he want? To warn me. About the trust fund. About your mother's history of manipulation. About how she's setting me up. That's not... He doesn't understand. Do you? I zipped up Noah's overnight bag. Because from where I'm standing, you're letting history repeat itself. Only this time, I'm the one being painted as the villain. Nobody thinks you're... Save it. I shouldered past him to grab Noah's favorite stuffed animal. We're going to stay with my parents for a while. You can explain to your mother why her plan might have to wait. Elle, please. He reached for my arm but stopped short when I flinched. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe, of what he was becoming. You know what's funny? I said, heading upstairs to get Noah. I actually thought we were a team. Turns out I was just an obstacle in someone else's game. As I drove away, Noah babbling happily in his car seat, I caught a glimpse of Ryan in my rearview mirror. He stood in the doorway looking lost, while behind him, a familiar Mercedes pulled into our driveway. Right on cue, I thought. But this time, Vivian's perfect timing would work against her. Because now I knew exactly what game we were playing, and I was done following her rules. 3 weeks at my parents' house had given me time to think, plan, and watch as Vivian's true colors bled through every careful facade. My lawyer, recommended by Richard, had documented the money trail, but that wasn't what finally broke me. It was the Christmas card that arrived yesterday, addressed only to Noah Dawson and family. Inside was a check for $5,000, made out to a college fund in Noah's name. The note read, "For my grandson's future in Seattle. Grandma knows best. Love, Vivian." I was still staring at it when Ryan showed up for his scheduled visit with Noah. He looked better than the last time I'd seen him. Pressed shirt, clean-shaven. More like the man I'd married. "There's something we need to discuss," he said after Noah had shown him every toy in the guest room twice. "About Christmas." My stomach clenched. What about it? Mom's planned this whole thing at her house. 3 days, the whole family. She even got Noah his own special chair for the dinner table. You mean the house next door to where she wants us to move? He shifted uncomfortably. I'll be reasonable. It's Christmas. Noah should be with his family. His family is right here. I handed him Vivian's card, along with her latest attempt at buying our compliance. Ryan barely glanced at it. She's trying to help. No, she's trying to control. There's a difference. I watched his face, searching for any sign of the man who used to stand up to his mother. Did you know she contacted your father about using his money for Noah? Dad abandoned us. Did he? Or is that just what Vivian told you? Something flickered in Ryan's eyes, doubt maybe. But it vanished as quickly as it appeared. We're going to Mom's for Christmas. Noah needs stability right now. Stability. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. Like the stability of having his father conspire with his grandmother to move him across the country, or the stability of watching his mother be systematically erased from family decisions. You're being dramatic. Am I? I pulled out my phone, showing him the series of texts from Vivian to various family members, forwarded to me by Richard. Messages painting me as unstable, suggesting I was having trouble adjusting to motherhood. Ryan's face paled. She's just concerned. She's building a case, Ryan. Your father warned me, but I didn't want to believe it. Now look at us. I gestured around my parents' guest room. This is exactly what she wanted. Me, isolated. You, dependent. Noah, caught in the middle. Ed. I won't be coming to Christmas. My voice was steady, even as my hands shook. And neither will Noah. You can't do that. I'm his father. And I'm his mother. The mother your mother is trying to paint as mentally unstable so she can push me out of his life. I stepped closer, forcing him to meet my eyes. Choose carefully what you do next, Ryan. Because I've already chosen. He stared at me for a long moment, then called out to Noah. Hey, buddy, time for Daddy to go. Noah ran in for a hug, and I watched Ryan hold him too tight, too long. When he finally let go, there were tears in his eyes. This isn't over, he said quietly. You're right. It's just beginning. After he left, I sat on the bed, hands trembling as I typed out a message to my lawyer. The Christmas card lay beside me, Vivian's elegant signature a declaration of war. My phone buzzed, another text from Ryan. Mom says she can help us work this out. She knows a good family counselor in Seattle. I didn't respond. Instead, I picked up the Christmas card and slowly, deliberately tore it into tiny pieces. Then I opened my laptop and began typing. Dear Richard, I need everything you have on Vivian's tactics during your divorce. It's time to fight fire with fire. Noah appeared in the doorway, clutching his stuffed elephant. Mama, okay? I pulled him close, breathing in his sweet, innocent scent. Yes, baby. Mama's done being afraid. And for the first time in weeks, I actually believed it. The court summons arrived 3 days before Christmas. I stared at the papers while Noah played with his blocks in my parents' living room, oblivious to how his world was about to shatter. Ryan was suing for full custody, citing mental instability and parental alienation. Vivian's handiwork was all over the filing. The evidence included everything from my erratic decision to leave our home to carefully selected text messages showing my hostile attitude toward family unity. They'd even included statements from mutual friends, people I thought I could trust, suggesting I'd been acting strange since Noah's birth. My lawyer called while I was putting Noah down for his nap. They're pushing for an emergency hearing, she said. And they're using your old antidepressant prescription against you. My legs gave out, and I sank to the floor. I'd taken medication briefly after Noah was born, with my doctor's full support. Vivian had been the one to suggest I keep it private to avoid stigma. There's more, my lawyer continued. They've frozen the joint accounts. All of them. I ended the call and pressed my forehead against Noah's bedroom door, listening to his soft breathing. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. This isn't what I wanted. But Mom says it's the only way to ensure Noah's stability. Please don't fight this. Another message followed immediately. The Seattle house is perfect for him. You can visit whenever you want. Visit. Like I was some distant relative instead of Noah's mother. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Vivian's Mercedes in the driveway. My father answered before I could stop him. Elle's not available, I heard him say. I'm not leaving until I speak with her. Vivian's voice carried up the stairs. This has gone far enough. I walked downstairs, each step feeling like lead. Vivian stood in our entryway wearing an expensive cashmere sweater and a concerned expression that didn't reach her eyes. What do you want? To end this foolishness. She pulled out an envelope. I have a proposal. A generous one. My father moved to intervene, but I held up my hand. Let's hear it. Full custody to Ryan, with liberal visitation for you. A substantial settlement. And, she paused for effect, I'll ensure Ryan drops the mental instability claims. Your reputation remains intact. In exchange for, move back home. Accept the Seattle transfer. Let our family heal. I laughed, a hollow, broken sound. Our family? You've been systematically destroying it for years. I've been protecting it. Her mask slipped slightly. Ryan needs guidance. Noah needs stability. And you need help. The only thing I need is for you to leave. Don't be stupid, all. Think about Noah. Think about your future. Without access to the accounts, how long can you fight this? That's when I saw it, the slight tremor in her hand, the desperate edge to her voice. She was scared, not of losing Noah or Ryan, but of losing control. You know what the funny thing is? I said quietly. I actually believed you loved him. Noah, but this isn't love. It's ownership. You ungrateful. Get out. My voice of steel. And tell Ryan that if he wants to destroy his son's life to please his mommy, he'll have to do it in court. Because I'm done negotiating. After she left, I found my father in the kitchen, gripping the counter so hard his knuckles were white. I should have seen what she was doing to you, he said roughly. Nobody saw it. That's how people like Vivian operate. I went back upstairs to check on Noah. He was awake, playing quietly with his stuffed elephant. Mama sad? He asked, just like he had so many times before. No, baby. I picked him up, holding him close. Mama's angry. And that's okay, because angry means fighting. And I'm going to fight for you with everything I have. My phone buzzed again, another text from Ryan. Mom says you're not being reasonable. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email and forwarded everything I had, The financial records, Richard's documentation, Vivian's threatening texts to my lawyer. The war they wanted? They were about to get it. The emergency custody hearing fell on Christmas Eve. I sat in the courthouse hallway, watching Noah play with a toy truck at my feet while we waited. My lawyer had warned me about Vivian's plan. She'd lined up character witnesses, all ready to paint me as unstable and controlling. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so terrifying. Ryan appeared at the end of the hall, Vivian close behind him like a shadow. She'd dressed him in an expensive suit, the same one he'd worn at our wedding. The sight of it made my stomach turn. "Noah, sweetie," Vivian called out, arms outstretched. "Come to Grandma." Noah clutched my leg instead, hiding his face. Her expression hardened for just a moment before smoothing back into concerned grandmother mode. "See," she whispered loudly to Ryan. "She's turned him against me." Before I could respond, the bailiff called us in. As we filed into the courtroom, Richard appeared, sliding into the seat behind me. "Dad," Ryan's voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" "Telling the truth," Richard replied quietly. Finally, the hearing began with Vivian's carefully orchestrated parade of witnesses. Friends, neighbors, even Noah's pediatrician, all subtly suggesting I was possessive, unstable, resistant to family unity. Then my lawyer called Richard. "Mrs. Dawson," he said, looking directly at Vivian, "used these exact same tactics during our divorce. Isolated me from Ryan, controlled our finances, even had me briefly committed when I threatened to fight for custody." Vivian stood up. "He abandoned us." "Ryan, tell them." "Mrs. Dawson, sit down," the judge ordered. My lawyer presented Richard's documentation. Decades of manipulative texts, financial records, medical records that had been altered. With each piece of evidence, Ryan's face grew paler. "And now," Richard continued, "she's doing it again. Different decade, same playbook." "That's enough." Vivian's voice shook. "Ryan, are you going to let them attack your mother like this?" Ryan stood slowly, looking between his parents. For the first time, I saw him really seeing them, his father's worn, honest face and his mother's carefully constructed facade. "Mom," he said quietly, "did you really have Dad committed?" "He was unstable." "Like Al's unstable?" His voice rose. "Like everyone who disagrees with you is unstable? I did it for you. Everything I've done has been for you." "No." Ryan's hands were shaking. "Everything you've done has been for you. And I let you do it. I let you control everything because it was easier than standing up to you." He turned to the judge. "I'd like to withdraw my petition for custody." "Ryan." Vivian grabbed his arm. "Think about what you're doing." He pulled away from her. "I am. For the first time in my life, I'm thinking for myself." The judge called a recess, but I barely heard her. I was watching Vivian's carefully constructed world crumble as Ryan walked out of the courtroom without looking back. He was waiting in the hallway when I came out with Noah. "Oh," he started, then stopped, looking lost. "I don't expect you to forgive me." "Good," I said. "Because I don't. But Noah, we'll have two parents who put him first. If you can prove that's really what you want." Vivian burst out of the courtroom, mascara streaking her cheeks. "This isn't over." "Ryan, think about your son." "I am thinking about my son," he said firmly. "And about the kind of father I want to be. The kind who stands up for what's right, even when it's hard." She turned to me, all pretense gone. "You did this. You turned them both against me." "No, Vivian." I picked up Noah, who buried his face in my neck. "You did this to yourself." As we walked away, I heard her calling after Ryan, her voice echoing through the courthouse. But he was already following us, leaving her alone with the ruins of her control. It wasn't a perfect ending. There would be therapy, custody arrangements, years of healing ahead. But watching Ryan choose his son over his mother's manipulation, I felt something I hadn't in months: hope. Sometimes winning isn't about revenge. Sometimes it's about breaking free. 6 months after the courthouse showdown, I found myself clearing out our old house. Ryan had finally agreed to sell it, acknowledging we both needed fresh starts. Noah played in the backyard under my mother's watchful eye while I sorted through years of memories. In the back of our closet, I found a dusty box labeled "Wedding." Inside, beneath layers of cards and dried flowers, was a letter I'd never seen before. The handwriting belonged to my grandmother, who'd passed away just weeks before the ceremony. Dear Estelle, it began. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. But there's something you need to know about marriage, about motherhood, about being a woman in this world. Your strength isn't in how much you can endure, it's in knowing when to stop enduring. My hands trembled as I read her words, so relevant to everything I'd been through. She'd seen something in Vivian back then, something I'd been too young to recognize. The front door opened, and Ryan's footsteps echoed through the empty house. We'd settled into an uneasy co-parenting routine, with him attending therapy twice a week and slowly rebuilding his relationship with his father. Found something interesting? He asked, hovering in the doorway. I handed him the letter. As he read, his expression shifted from curiosity to understanding. Your grandmother was wise, he said finally. I'm sorry I made you endure so much. We both endured too much. I took the letter back, tucking it carefully into my pocket. How's your mom? Still in therapy. He paused, choosing his words carefully. She asked to see Noah. No, I know. I already told her not until she proves she's changed. Really changed. Through the window, I could see Noah chasing butterflies, my mother laughing as she followed him. The scene struck me as both beautiful and bittersweet. This wasn't the family life I'd imagined, but maybe it was better. Honest. Real. I got a job offer, I said, breaking the silence. Marketing director at a startup downtown. That's great. His smile was genuine. When do you start? Next month. Mom's helping with childcare. I closed the wedding box, sealing away those memories. Life goes on, right? Yeah. He picked up a box marked donations. Need help carrying these out? We worked in companionable silence, loading boxes into our respective cars. As we finished, Richard pulled up in his pickup truck. He'd moved back to town, determined to make up for lost time with both Ryan and Noah. Ready for our fishing trip, buddy? He called to Noah, who squealed with delight and ran to his grandfather. Watching them, I felt a strange peace settle over me. This wasn't an ending, not really. It was a realignment, a family reconstructed into something healthier, if more complicated. Later that night, after Noah was asleep in his bed at my new apartment, I reread my grandmother's letter. There was a postscript I'd missed earlier. Remember, dear one, sometimes the happy ending isn't getting everything you wanted. It's realizing you deserve better than what you were willing to accept. My phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. Noah forgot his favorite truck at the house. I'll bring it by tomorrow during handoff. Simple. Normal. No manipulation, no power plays. Just two parents putting their child first. I walked to Noah's room and watched him sleep, clutching his backup favorite truck. On his windowsill sat the family photo from the courthouse day, not the formal one Vivian had orchestrated, but a candid shot my father took of Noah sandwiched between Ryan and me, all of us a little broken but somehow more real for it. This wasn't the fairy tale ending I'd once dreamed of. There were still hard days, complicated emotions, and an ex-mother-in-law who might never truly change. But standing there, watching my son sleep peacefully in our new home, I realized something important. Sometimes winning isn't about getting revenge or even justice. Sometimes winning is simply learning to write your own story.